So the one thing I wish someone had told me when I got my ileostomy was that it's really going to affect your nutrition. Like I didn't really understand that. Everyone's showing me how to change my appliance and what to do with your, barrier rings, but no one was really talking to me about what it's going to be like to live without a colon. And a couple of years after I got my ileostomy, I found out from my doctor that my B12 levels were really low, and I had to start getting shots for B12. I was like, what? They're kind of painful. And it all turned out that your colon is heavily involved in absorbing B12, and I didn't know that. So there's a couple of things I'd like to cover today to really help maybe get you off to a great start with your nutritional needs if you now have an ileostomy. Okay, so the colon's primary responsibility is to absorb water out of your stool. Additionally, it will actually help regulate the electrolytes, and it also has a ton of healthy bacteria, right? So when you lose your colon, it's going to be real important that you kind of compensate for some of these factors and some of the things that it was helping regulate. So for me specifically, I fill up two 32-ounce jugs of water. I put them on my kitchen counter every day, and those have to be finished before I go to bed at night. That's important for my hydration. And I also do use an electrolyte packet now, something I never did before, but I do purchase electrolytes. And I also take a probiotic about 3 to 4 times a week. So all of those things are helping compensate the fact that I no longer have a colon. If you have a colostomy, you probably still have part of your colon, and you may not need a full-blown electrolyte or a probiotic, and your water needs may not be the same as someone with an ileostomy. But you just want to be careful that you're experiment with your body, see where you're at, maybe talk to your doctor and find out what kind of digestive issues might you have to experience. And with a urostomy, just remember it's mostly about drinking a lot of water. You don't want to get a urinary tract infection, and you want to take care of your kidneys. So hydration, hydration, hydration. Okay. Here is another key factor when you have an ileostomy or a colostomy, and it's going to come down to how well you digest your food. And that comes down to how well you chew your food. I have had 4 blockages since I've gotten my ileostomy, and I want to tell you, you start feeling discomfort in your stomach, and then the gas starts building up, and then the food starts not being able to go through, and the pain just incrementally builds and builds and builds until you end up running to the emergency room and literally begging for pain medication. I can't even tell you. I would, it was horrible. I mean, one time I had to get a wheelchair. I was like, just wheel me in and someone please give me a shot. So very painful. And then they have to give you an NG tube down your nose, pump your stomach. Usually takes about 2 days in the hospital and you're finally cleared. But what happened for me was I had 4 surgeries as well. And I had scar tissue develop, and there was a kink in my intestine, and I didn't know that until they did a CT scan. So on my 3rd blockage, they tell me, hey, you've got a kink in your intestine. I'm like, oh, all right. So it's real important. Not everyone's going to have that complication, but it's real important that you understand that you might have that complication because you want to head it off if you do. So make sure you chew your food really well and take smaller bites, take more time when you eat, those types of things to help prevent any kind of blockage issue and really just to improve your digestion and your nutrition. And one of the things it definitely did for me was it changed the way I prepare my food. So now, literally every week, I make a huge pot of vegetable soup. And then I puree it in the blender because, the blockages I had were from broccoli, and one of them was from like cantaloupe or strawberry. I'm not really sure which. And it really isn't the food's problem. It was the fact I hadn't chewed it, or maybe I hadn't prepared it correctly. So now by cooking this vegetable soup and then pureeing it in the blender, it turns into like a gravy, and I can use that when I eat with like pasta or salmon or really chicken, anything. And it's a great way for me to feel really relaxed and comfortable when I eat, because I can tell you that there are still times where I chew my food really well and I'm eating something and I'm always having a little bit of paranoia and fear in the background. I've gone to bed at night like, man, am I going to have a problem? Or if there's a discomfort in my stomach, am I going to run to the hospital with another blockage? It's very scary after you've had a couple, after you've had one. So I puree my food. I do a lot of smoothies, again, a simple way to make sure the food is getting broken down into a liquid so that I can absorb it better. So it's just important to pay attention to your nutritional habits and kind of begin to experiment and explore that, understanding that you have a different digestive system now, and that's going to change some things for you. And I would just say get curious at this point. and start exploring some different things and do a little bit of research and see what you can find out and what interests you in terms of what you think you can do to make sure that you're getting optimal nutrition, because it's going to make a big difference with how much energy you have, your hydration levels, all these things, the surgery itself, all these things that can fatigue the body. And if you have bad nutrition on top of that, you're going to have a difficult run with this. So I think it's real important to optimize every variable you can optimize to make sure that your experience is as good as possible. And the last thing I'll say is make sure you're working with your healthcare team. You know, that's what they're there for, to help you. And if you're having fatigue or your output is strange, or you just feel dehydrated and you're not sure what's going on, communicate with them. See what kind of input and advice they can give you. You know, I am not a medical expert, and this is not medical advice when I'm making this video, but I'm just trying to point to different things that you might experience in your journey that can help you understand what's going on a little better. And again, I would definitely suggest that you contact your healthcare team. One of the things I do, because I've been taking these supplements, also magnesium, I forgot I added magnesium to my diet. And so because I made these supplemental changes about 2 months ago, I wanted to get some lab results and find out, hey, where's my blood level now? When I reached out to my medical team to say, hey, I'd like to get some blood work done, I was excited to be proactive about taking care of my health and really being responsible about it, knowing that I'm taking supplements, things are going to change internally. I want to see what the numbers look like. So I'll open that later today. And that's everything I have in terms of nutrition, okay? Fundamentally, make sure that you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're chewing your food. Make sure you're eating nutritious food. And make sure you're staying optimistic and positive, getting some exercise, and living a good quality life, because you're still here. You made it, guys. You made it. So let's keep rocking.